Hello and welcome to pmblounge.com. Today we are going over a concept known as murder board. Now, the name could be interesting and could seem like something which is antisocial, or could also seem like something which is a name of probably a next Hollywood flick, right? But murder board is actually a concept in project management, and it's one of those concepts where you might read the entire PMBOK guide and you would never find a word like murder board mentioned anywhere. But come the exam day, or you know your mock test day, and you are seeing murder board as one of the options, and it's also possible that that option is also the correct one for the question being asked, right? So it's important to understand concepts like these, which might not be featured in the PMBOK guide, right? They might not be covered in the PMBOK guide, but they are important concepts. And the best way to avoid, seeing concepts like this in the exam for the first time and not studying them while your PMP preparation time, is to write up mock tests so that you are aware and you have an understanding of the kind of questions you can expect to see in the exam. So let's try to go over murder board. What exactly is this, and why such a strange name for a concept in project management? So let's start with the what. What is murder board? So it might not sound like it, but this is actually a project selection process. So, murder board, it might not sound something like a project selection process, but that is what it exactly is. It is a process where projects are presented and projects are selected or rejected. And that's my next point, right? Going by the name, it can also be called the project rejection process, because murder board, you're probably murdering a project in its very initiating phase, right? In its initiation, you're kind of murdering a project, and that is why it is called murder board, right? So instead of selecting, it can also, going by the name, it might also be considered as a project rejection process rather than a selection process. So again, what is it? So a murder board is basically a committee. So that means there is a group of people, and all of them, they play the devil's advocate, and they ask questions majorly seeking the justification for approving the project. So, they'll question everything in the project. They'll ask hard questions. They'll basically um, you need to basically justify that your project is worth it, and they'll ask every question that they can think of to reject your project, because that is what their job is. They are playing the devil's advocate here. The who, let's try to understand the who. So who is part of this murder board committee? So this committee basically comprises of senior managers, SMEs, which is the subject matter experts, and could even include the project sponsor, and should include the project sponsor, right? If Because project sponsor is the person who is sponsoring the project, who is providing the resources, the money for the project. So he or she has every right to question everything in the project before he or she can make a decision, right, to sponsor the project. So uh, this is basically the kind of folks that are involved and are a part of the murder board committee. Now, the focus here is to find reasons why the project should not be selected. And that is why in the previous slide we spoke about it, right? That this is more of a project rejection process, right? Rather than a selection process. So their focus, the focus of the senior managers, the SMEs, the project sponsor, their focus is to find reasons why they should not select a project, right? And as a project manager, while you being a project manager, you might be asked to defend the project, right? So you might be the one making a presentation in front of the murder board and trying to convince them to approve of your project, right? So you're the one who is going to defend your project, and you're the one who is going to counter all the queries that the murder board members have, right? So this is basically the who of the murder board. This is basically the folks involved in the motherboard, in the murder board, right? Now, a word of caution here, the members should be highly knowledgeable in the respective domains. So the members in the murder board, right, they should be highly knowledgeable. They should not be there just because they are seniors, or just because they kind of have a clout in the organization. This should not be the reason for them to be a part of the murder board. They should be highly knowledgeable in the respective domain of the project, and that is only when they'll be able to ask questions that are that make sense, basically. So a project should not be murdered for the sake of being a candidate of the motherboard, right, of the murder board, right? So if a project is being presented in the murder board, it doesn't mean that it has to be murdered, as in murdered here is used to signify that it should not be, just for the heck of it. You don't have to kill an idea. You don't have to, kill a project which is in its early initiation phase, just because it is being presented in the murder board, right? You have to consider good ideas. You have to consider, end of the day, you have to consider the fact that you need projects to run the company, right? So just because a project is being presented in the murder board doesn't mean that it has to be murdered, right? You have to kind of kill the ideas. That is not the intent of the murder board. And the presenters, right, must take any constructive criticism very positively. So there will be instances, right, in this entire process where the presenter might feel as if his or her project is being criticized for no reason at all, right? So whatever the reasons be, the criticism should, and that this ties back to the first point in the slide, right? The members should be highly knowledgeable, and only if they are highly knowledgeable, the presenters can kind of make sense of whatever they are speaking, right? And can kind of take their constructive criticism in a positive manner. So this is a word of caution for murderboard. Again, this is one of the many project selection techniques. I'll link to the entire playlist in the description below, where we have covered the rest of the project selection techniques. So that's all that we had in this video. Again, I'll be sharing the link to the playlist of the project selection methods. Go over it for sure and understand, learn a thing or two about the other project selection methods as well. It's kind of important because you can expect questions in the PMP exam around the project selection methods. Subscribe to this YouTube channel if you haven't done so already, and check us out on our social media, facebook.com/PMP Lounge and twitter.com/PMP Lounge. And as always, do check out the website pmplounge.com, your number one free resource for PMP certification and project management industry information. Thank you.